think it's really important that if you're someone who does something creative, whether you do video or photo or graphic design, whatever it is, if you do that for your living, I think it's still really important to do it for fun as well. I know I post a lot of videos on my channel talking about the client work that I've done, sharing some behind the scenes, and I can't get into too much detail. But today, we're actually doing a time-lapse trip just for fun, me and some buddies. And we're gonna go out and just get some cool photos, time-lapse. We don't really know what we're gonna get, but figuring we live in Arizona and it's a nice, beautiful day out, we'd go out and get some cool shots. And we don't have any clients to worry about, it's just ourselves. So that's always fun, and I think it's good to help kind of let you play around a little bit, be a little bit more creative than you might be on some client work, and you just have a good time hanging out with friends. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? All right, so here's my bag now. It's kind of a mess right now, but hopefully you can see what I've got here. I've got cases for cards. You want to make sure you have plenty of cards whenever you're filming anything, just so you don't run out. That's always good. Batteries ready to go. A few of my lenses. I've got 85 right there. And I've got, what's this? This is my 24. Yeah, it's an old school 24 millimeter Nikon lens. I've got my 18 to 35 Sigma, love that lens. And I've also got my 12 to 35, just kind of standard kit type lens for my GH4. I'm going to be filming a lot on my GH4 because it's got that internal time-lapse feature, which I love, so I don't have to worry about intervalometers or any external options. And for time-lapse stuff, it works great because I can just do it all right in the camera to actually build movies for me. So there's really nothing to really worry about, nothing to go wrong. As long as you got battery power and cards and a camera, you are good to go. I do have other knickknacks and kind of little odds and ends in here, you know, kind of that kind of stuff, but nothing that I'm really going to be using too much for these kind of fun trips. I don't want to be burdened down too much with too much gear. I just like to travel pretty light, keep it simple, and just get, you know, the basics of what I need. And yeah, that's it. Keeping it simple. All right, so here we are at our first stop. We just found this kind of cool looking building. We figured we'd pull over to the side of the road. It's not the best setup for a time-lapse by any stretch of the imagination, but we just saw it and thought it was cool. So we got some guys taking photos. I'm gonna do a time-lapse, and I thought I'd just show you how I set this up. If you look, like our cloud cover today, it's okay, but like honestly, you can get a lot better in Arizona. But at least there's something, so we see some movement. And to add a little bit extra movement, I wanted to cross the road here so we get some foreground action with the cars and stuff. And hopefully it's not too loud. I apologize if the noise is a pain, but here's the shots I'm taking. Hopefully you can see that. Let's see. Come on, focus. There we go. So this is the second one I'm doing, and you can see my settings. I got my aperture at f4, shutter at 2, which is just a little bit faster than a second long exposure, and ISO all the way down. And the real magic comes from the ND filter I've got on the front of this. So this is an ND 1000. It's some cheap thing I found on eBay, but it works really well because it knocks down all that light. And so what I'm able to do is really drag that shutter. Hopefully you can see that when you're getting a lot of motion blur on these cars. Normally when people time-lapse, well, not normally, but sometimes when people time-lapse, they use a more traditional shutter speed, something a little faster, and that doesn't really match with the movement and the speed of things, because you're not getting any of that motion blur, right? Like on my phone, it just looks normal because I'm taking video. But for time-lapse, because everything's sped up, you want things to feel fast. So you want them to have that motion blur. So it's really important to drag that shutter. And the only way you can do that is if you cut the light down enough, which is why you need an ND filter, something like this. This is, again, just a cheap one I found on eBay. I think it was like 15 bucks or 20 bucks, something like that. And the great thing about the GH4 is that I can just do all this right internally. So I can even create my video right in the camera. Pick my settings, click OK. Yeah. 4 minutes later, I'll have a video to look at.
The road itself is on a motorcycle.
got a time lapse clicking away back here, but another good tip that you should know is that when you're doing time lapse and you want to slow down your shutter speed, so you want to use some kind of ND filter, you don't want to use a variable ND filter. The reason for that is because variable NDs are two polarizers stacked on top of one another. So when you twist one polarizer, it combines with the next one to give you that ND effect. But the problem with that, especially when you're doing time lapse, is that polarizers affect the angle of light, right? So as the light changes, that angle of polarization can change, and it can actually add some flickering to your image. It looks similar to something like an aperture that isn't always exactly like f2, like on some electronic lenses, that kind of effect. So you want to go with an ND filter that's just a regular ND filter, so you pick your density and you just stick with that. I prefer something a little bit darker so I can drag that shutter even longer, but you definitely want to stay away from the variable NDs and that polarizer effect. So here we are wrapping up one of our last shots for the daytime stuff. We're still going to do a little bit more into the night, get some stars, that kind of stuff, but this will be the last shot for the day as the sun is fading. But what's unfortunate is, I don't know if you can even see it still, but there was an incredible sunset that direction. I'm not faced that direction. Set up for the lake. Was hoping to get some cool color in the sky. It just didn't work out, and that's what happens sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't go according to plan. Something else is cooler somewhere you weren't looking. And I saw that when the sun did start to set, it just looked spectacular. The sky was bright, bright red. But in order to get to a shot, a vantage point where it would actually look cool and get that stuff, it would take maybe a couple minutes, and that's all it lasted for. It was only a few moments, and now it's pretty much faded completely away. You can see a little bit of glimmer of that red left over there, but unfortunately I'm stuck with this, which isn't bad. It's a pretty cool location, but yeah, that's why if you're gonna do this, be prepared to be disappointed sometimes. It does happen. But hey, there's always next time. There'll always be another sunset, and you know what? It could be better than this one. Got up and we reviewed some of the time lapses that we shot overnight, and they look really cool. Unfortunately, the RV is stuck in the ice, so now we're dealing with that. After some rocking and pushing, we finally got the RV out of the ice, and now we're wrapping up the day with a few drone shots.